there's a high probability that some of those no's are saying no to you or giving you false yeses because they don't feel you. They don't feel like you care about them. For you, it's just another project, whether that's what your intent or not. But if they feel that, you're out. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Spring is only weeks away, guys. What are you doing this year to make sure that you're being purposeful with your time, specifically around your communication with your customers, your sales process? What are you doing this year to make sure you can spend more time with the clients who are paying you that will allow you to be profitable versus spending time with tons of people who won't? You know, the industry average for closing in outdoor living is 20 to 30%. I talk to companies around the country on a weekly basis, and I've seen it as low as 5%. And some companies are doing much better, 50, 60%, but most are around 20 to 30%. So what that means is when you go out to 10 new leads, there's a high probability that you will only close 2 or 3 on average. Now, I'm curious how long our industry is going to continue to tolerate that. I don't know of any other industry that is as tolerant of the idea that they're going to waste so much time with people who either can't say yes or find a way to say no. I know from my past that not having a tried and true battle-tested sales and communication system with my clients, a process in which I take every single client through, led me to the same results. My results were dismal at best. At my best, I was probably at 50%. But most of the time I was in the average of 20 to 30%. I just didn't know that it could be different. All I knew was that I was trying my hardest. I was wearing so many hats running my company, doing outdoor living spaces and all that, and just running ragged, putting out fires. And by the end of the day, all I wanted to do was curl up in a ball and go to bed and get up the next day and go at it again. And I struggled for years to find time to even consider options like, how do I bring my client through an experience as opposed to just what's the fastest way to get them to say yes so they can stroke me a check and I can move on to the next one. I was focused on how many could I bring through the system through a broken system, or I actually should say no system at all, and just winging it, shooting off the hip each and every day. My question for you guys listening out there is, how long are you going to tolerate low close rates? How long are you going to tolerate stealing time from your family and business to meet with clients who either have no intention of saying yes to you and just looking for a bunch of free ideas, maybe some DIYs in their, in their prime, looking for people to just give them some free stuff, or people that don't have the budget needed for a project and they're high on hopium, right? They're hoping that they're going to be able to do something with your company and find out after you spend hours with them that there's just no path forward. My question for the industry is, how long are we going to tolerate that? I know I tolerated it for way too long. It was something that I didn't know a path forward. I didn't know that other industries prioritize being purposeful and being strategic with their communication with their clients. So they know them and their salespeople are out there working with clients who can say yes, who are ready. The expectations have been set for what the engagement and relationship is going to look like, all before they ever leave the office. I remember many, many times sitting across the table from clients who I was so excited to design their space for, but deep down knew that they didn't have the budget to do it. But I figured if I could just get that design in front of them, they would fall in love with it and they would find the money. Because everybody keeps telling me, these people aren't spending their last dollars on outdoor living. They're simply seeing how they can get the best value for their money. It's always about this value exchange. And I'm like, well, how do I become more valuable? That was the big question. How do I position my company as the most valuable option on the table? And the people that value will actually look at us as the most logical option to move forward. But I struggle with that. And I know many companies struggle with that. I talk to them all the time. And the reason why they struggle is because our industry is full of incredibly well-gifted doers, people who are just so gifted at building things. But communication, yeah, not so much. It's something that we struggle with as an industry. And we want to just show a nice big picture, a design to a client, and have them fall in love with the design and just have us be the facilitators of the installation of that project. What if it wasn't just that way? Because they can take that design and go somewhere else, couldn't they? If they bought it from you, or they could take a picture of it or somehow snag it and take it somewhere else. It's happened to me many times in my past where I drive by a nice corner lot that I was giving them a great price on, and they said, they probably didn't say no to me in the past. Most likely they told me we have to think about it. And then I drive by and see a similar project being built by a competitor. It feels horrible, right? You guys have felt that before, where it just feels like someone kicked you in the guts and you start getting frustrated and mad thinking, man, why does this keep happening to me? And this happened over and over. So I had to figure out a way that I could spend less time with clients who couldn't say yes or had no intention of saying yes to us, and spend more time with the clients who could. But here was the problem. How do I figure that out ahead of time? I'm so busy running a business, figuring out what equipment we're going to buy, what new strategies we're going to put in place, if the employees are going to show up this year or not, if they're going to show up today or not, how we're going to balance for our checkbook, how are we going to pay bills, how are we going to pay for payroll? I need this next deposit from this next project to pay for the next thing that I need, a truck payment or a payroll payment. It was just nonstop, like I was a firefighter putting out fires constantly. So I started asking bigger questions. I mean, over the years, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars meeting with and coaching from all kinds of amazing people that are doing really well, that have scaled their businesses, that have grown, that are either coaches or live events. I mean, I've gone through the gamut of just about everything I can find, because I know the answers are out there. I just don't have access to them yet. Right? That was always my mindset. And when I started hanging around with people who were uber successful and going in the direction that I wanted to go and had what I wanted, I started to find one simple truth that they all shared. And that truth that I found is that they all continue to grow and learn. They're lifelong students. That was interesting, because I had thought you learn so much and then you just kind of live with it the rest of your life and use it over and over again, and that's that. And another thing that I learned that they all had in common was they had a process or system for just about everything. They didn't wing things. I mean, all different industries, from real estate through manufacturing, industrial, all of that, even down in the contracting. Most had systems that were very successful. And you can get away with running a company, an outdoor living, hardscape or landscape company, up to roughly $1 million with no systems in place, just winging it. But around that $1 million mark is where you start to find a lot of fatigue happening. Your systems and processes, if they aren't dialed in, if they aren't well oiled, it starts to show the pressure. It starts to show the phrase of not having them. And that's where most companies get stuck, 750 to 1.2-ish. And they're going to get stuck right there, because the next step for them to do is to develop themselves, to develop their teams, to start to bring in coaches, to bring in systems. And you have two choices when it comes to that. Either you're going to try to figure it out on your own, take years and years to try to figure it out, or you can go out and you can find somebody who already has what you want, a system or process, and you can bring them in and have them teach your company how to do it. And then you can do that in a few weeks. So you have a choice whether you want to spend a couple of years and tons of money with no guaranteed results, or whether you want to trust somebody else has already figured it out and you can fast track that, right? You can compress decades into days and focus on being able to run your company. Because we need to spend, as an industry, we need to spend more time working on our company than in our company. Again, we're great doers, incredible men and women out there that just have such talent to build things, but we will never get the opportunity to build them if we're chasing leads. In my earlier example, if we're chasing out of 10 leads and only 3 of them are saying yes on the good side, 7 of them are saying no, or saying yes and never getting back to you, or I got to think about it. Imagine if you could recapture all of that time and pour it into your business. Imagine if you had that opportunity to think, wait a minute here, I know that there's about an 80 to 90% possibility that the client's going to say yes when I leave the office and I actually go out and meet with them. Imagine if you could preset them, pre-qualify them for success, or letting them go knowing you're not a good fit, Maybe it's a budgetary thing. Maybe they don't have the budget for the project. Maybe they got a $10,000 budget for a $100,000 project. How many times have you had that conversation way too late? I know I have. I say all these things because I've been down these roads. I've been down these dark alleys, and I know exactly where they lead. They lead to a lot of pain. They lead to a lot of frustration. They lead to a lot of hands thrown in the air and walking away from your company because you just can't get it done. There's just too many things to get done in a day. Imagine if you could minimize the amount of time wasted on things that we already know are going to be a waste. I had to look at my company from a different perspective. I started thinking, wait a minute here. If my average is 3 to 5 out of 10, what would life be like if I didn't spend another dollar on marketing, but I could get that up to 6, 7, or 8 out of 10? What would life look like? I could spend more time with less people and get a better result or return. So I went on an expedition to figure that out. And I hired a sales coach, and we started to talk about what was working in my system and what was not working in my system. What was my system right then and there could give me 3 to 5 leads out of 10. But what needed to happen in order to get me to that 7, 8, or dare I say 9 leads to say yes after going out and meeting with them? So I had to go on a deep dive and re-look at everything I was doing. I had to learn so much more. I was asking good questions, not great ones, but good ones, but they were in the wrong order. And when I found I was asking good questions, but in the wrong order, and that was getting me that 3 to 5 out of 10, I said, then what kind of questions do I need to ask? And in what order do they need to be in so the client can sell themselves in this project? And I don't have to try to influence them in a way that drives them in a direction. Because guys, if we're out there trying to manipulate people or trying to persuade them into something, it's only a matter of time before they walk away or give you a false yes, because they don't want any kind of confrontation, right? Humans in general don't like confrontation, so they'll lie to your face. Clients will say, yeah, I'll get back to you, when they have no intent of doing it because they don't want to have confrontation. They don't want to come to your face and say, Joey, your price is too high and I don't like your idea. Most don't have the guts to do that, nor do they want to be uncomfortable and do that. So they'd rather just say, yeah, sounds good. Let me take a look at it, and never get back to you with the intent at that point of never getting back to you, but they just won't tell it to your face. And you're thinking, well, there's still possibility there. There's still an opportunity lurking there. They just have to think about it for a little while. Let me tell you guys, the think about it wagon or the think about it train takes off, and that's it. It's gone. They're going somewhere else. They're buying time. So the question really becomes, in your communication with your clients, how are you setting expectations and delivering above for each and every client? How are you creating the most incredible client experience that helps them truly understand what they truly deeply need, want, and desire for their outdoor space, not what they're telling you or think they need? Now, some clients are very clear on what they want: 20 by 20 patio, seating wall, fire pit, whatever. Others think that's what they want because in their mind, logically, they're thinking, well, if I just know what I want, I can call 3 guys up to give me quotes for it, and I'm just going to then look at what I get the best value from. And in their mind, value means less price. What if you could be the one that stands out in that mix and helps Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones understand that maybe that patio, that seating wall in the fire pit is the right choice, but maybe it's not. Let's go deeper. Let's be a sales detective. Let's go deeper into it with some great questions positioned in the right order so that they can discover that for themselves. And if you're the one that's helping them and guiding them through this process, you become a higher value to them. And when you're a higher value to your clients, they will pay more for that value. Most. Not everybody. Some people are just stuck on numbers, but they're not really your best customers, are they? Normally, you want clients that are seeing you as the highest value and willing to pay premium for that so you can be profitable and the business can grow and you can put money away for retirement and all those things that we should do as an industry, but don't. Because again, we're great doers, oftentimes cutting ourselves short on what we should be paid for that doing. Now, the way you gain value in a market is by offering more value than anybody else. And value isn't necessarily just on the build side. Value is in the experience the client's experiencing throughout. How are you helping them unpack their truest, deepest needs, wants, and desires? How are you approaching the budget conversation with them that they can feel good about telling you and be honest with you and not lie. I mean, how many times have we had clients lie to us about what they had their budget? They always shoot low, but really they have more of a budget, but we never know where it is. And it's this back and forth game, almost like gunslingers trying to see who shoots first. What if you could guide your clients to a discussion around budget where you both could feel good about it and get great results? And discover right then and there whether the client has the budget that you need for a project that they're describing or that you're unpacking and discovering with them. That's really what it's all about. So having a sales process in place, having a process of communication step by step that your team and you can follow each and every time takes the guesswork out. And the cool part about when you take guesswork out is that it builds confidence in your team. And everybody knows their role. They know what they're going to say next. They know how to queue up the next one, the next person in line. Maybe it's your project manager or your salesperson or your designer. Everyone's speaking the same language. So your client feels uniformity and they feel cohesiveness through your company. And, when a client feels something, not just being told or sees, but they feel something, you've just gotten into the emotional level, which is what 80% of the deciding factor of this project is going to be. It's not logical. That's only 20%. It's 80% emotional. So if the client feels something with you and your company because everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction, speaking the same language, it changes the game. It changes the game. So when a client's meeting with you, they will feel something different. They will feel valued and feel more value coming from you than everybody else. Because the typical contractor goes and says on the phone, hey, I'm going to paraphrase here. Hey, what do you want? How much you got? You available on Tuesday? That's what most do because they're focused on volume. They're focused on, I need to get a bunch through. I'm only closing 1, 2, or 3 out of 10. I don't have time to spend with each and every client. And I just need to get to the yeses as fast as I can and just let the no's fall to the side. And I want to challenge our industry to slow down. There's a high probability that some of those no's are saying no to you or giving you false yeses because they don't feel you. They don't feel like you care about them. For you, it's just another project. And if they feel it, whether that's what your intent or not, but if they feel that, you're out. Or you get the project, you're the lowest bidder, and you absolutely hate being in that relationship because that's really what we're creating here. We're creating relationships. And if you find somebody who's all about the money and it's always lowest cost and always trying to nickel and dime you down, and think their money is greener than everybody else and demands their time frames and wants everything their way, no one likes to be part of that kind of relationship, right? I've had projects like that in my past, and I remember going there for a couple of days or even a couple of weeks for larger projects, and every single day getting up just like, I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait to be out of that project. I cannot wait. We're losing money on it. And the client's not even grateful that I'm bringing my entire crew and all my equipment here. I just want to be done as fast as possible. And man, is that way in your heart each and every day when you get up thinking that this was a choice. This was a choice to take this project on. And because I was in such a hurry, I didn't think about the relationship part. I just thought about the transaction and thinking I need so many transactions in a year in order to get to my nut, what I needed to make. And the crazy part is a lot of those projects where those clients aren't very, let's just say aren't very grateful. They tend to be the ones that you lose money on because they're constantly adding things or changing things or not happy with things. So imagine if you could slow the process down and only bring on clients who you truly want to work with, that value your services, and that also will pay you the premium that you should be charging for design and also through your build process. So if this conversation is resonating in your heart and you're looking to slow down, to start working more on your business, not in it, to be more profitable, to build better relationships with customers who will refer you over and over again, that's what we do here at Yes Express. Reach out to us. We'll do a free sales evaluation. We'll look at what you're doing right now in your sales process. And you might be doing everything right. You just might not be asking the questions in the right order or not going deep enough on certain parts. And that could make the difference between closing 2 or 4 leads out of 10 this next week, 2 months. Imagine doing that all year. How much money could that be? What's your average price per project? And if you can add 1 more per month because of the way you communicate, how much would that add to your bottom line? How much busier could you keep your crews? As you start to grow your companies, it is very important to be focusing on efficiency and purposefulness. You can't just wing it. After $1 million, you can't just wing it anymore. If you're going to continue to grow and that's where your heart's at and you want to scale, systems and processes across the board are going to be important. But the number one system that I'll argue forever is sales. Because if you can bring in more solid leads that'll pay you premium, you can make a lot of mistakes in production. You can make a lot of mistakes in so many other parts of your business. But if you don't have a solid line of yeses in the front side of your business ready to go to pay your premium, you don't have many options. Your options are now very, very limited. And it's only a matter of time before your business is going to close. Or you're going to act like it's not happening and go for a couple of years and go bankrupt because you're way into the red. So I don't say this to scare anybody. I simply want people to be more aware in our industry that it is a fixable problem. That if you focus on serving fewer people deeper, you'll have a more strong, less stressful, less overwhelmed experience in your business as a leader. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, leadership is only one word. It's influence. And if you can't influence your teams because you don't know how, or you can influence your clients, the right clients, to move forward with you, then how effective are you as a leader? So again, if this message is resonating in your heart, reach out to us. You can reach out and book that call at yes.express right on our website. You can book that call and we can talk. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. My goal here is to listen to what you've got. If we can add a couple of valuable strategic adjustments to get your numbers up, to get you that 5, 6, 7 range, we'll gladly do that. And I would love to be part of that journey with you. Our goal here at Yes Express is to get our industry focused on a 75+% close rate. And if you can get 7, 8 out of 10 on a yes, the next thing you know, your business is going to scale all by itself. When the clients are selling themselves because you know how to ask questions, you know which ones to ask and at what time to ask them without manipulating, and always having the opportunity to give them the graceful exit and say we aren't a good fit, having that is going to boost your confidence. It's going to grow your business, and you're going to get up each day excited to go to work, to go out and serve. So again, if it resonates with you, take a look on our website, yes.express. You'll see the book a call link. Go ahead and do that. And I'd love to chat with you guys. All right. Until next week. Peace out.